safety of your address, and it's not about the safety of your zip code. Because when a have-not does not have, they'll come to the zip code of the haves, and they rob in the haves, and they break and enter in the haves.
Great panel right here, great panel. And y'all gonna have to excuse me, we just meet for the first time, so Pete's king. But I'm not gonna remember everybody's name off the bat. So I'm gonna have some questions, and we're gonna have some real talk dialogue. Why is it necessary in 2015 for us to proclaim Black Lives Matter?
I would say, in light of everything that's going on, the struggles of our people, we've got to begin to take an approach. I'm a guard guy, so I'm big on race first. I'm not racist, but I do believe that Black people need to do for themselves, to know that we can do for ourselves. We've kind of been conditioned to believe that if we do want to, if we're about Black empowerment, that we're excluding others. That's something that we've got to get over that mental hurdle. Nobody tells the people in Palestine that are urging Israel to stop doing what they're doing, oh, it's not about Palestine, it's about the world. When people advocate breast cancer, nobody says, oh, there's other diseases out there, why are you only focusing on breast cancer? You know, so I'm big on the Black Lives Matter because I think that we have to take care of one another and begin to support one another.
I personally believe because we've been so conditioned that our lives don't matter. You know, we countless murders in the city right now, and there's nothing really solid being done about it. And it's because we've been so conditioned that as long as we're only killing each other, it doesn't matter. And I think in 2015, it's become almost trendy. It's almost trendy for Black people to be killed. You know, so I think it's important, especially for young brothers in the audience, to know that you do matter. You shouldn't grow up thinking that I might be murdered, you know, and that shouldn't be in the back of your mind. What should be in the back of your mind is that you do matter as a person, an individual.
For me, I feel like we have to have a bigger sense of entitlement to our self-worth, what we feel like we should be. I feel like nowadays people want to be either three things, either a rapper or play a sport or, you know, do nothing, you know, or just sit on social media and just let their life go by. And it's the reality, and it sounds kind of funny, but it's the reality, and you don't want to figure out what you want to do until it's too late. And when you should already have put the process into being that person. I feel like Black Lives Matter, not just in killing each other, the police, and Black Lives Matter in education, Black Lives Matter in all the fields of being and bettering yourself and enriching what you have to offer to this world, giving back to your community, giving back to your culture, your family. Black Lives Matter, but not just for Black people. Black Lives Matter for your cousins that might be Latino. Black lives, every life matters, but you have to. I feel when we see Black Lives Matter, you have to. It's for yourself. It's for your being. If you are feeling like you should do something and it's something positive, give that to your brother, give that to the next person. Make sure that you're giving back, because giving back is everything.
Firstly, I just want to go ahead and say I agree with everything that everyone has said so far. Black Lives Matter is such a loaded campaign because it reminds us, one, that the struggle is not over, the fight's not over. You can't be in the ring and not fight. So we still have to do something about our education. We still have to do something about our communities. We still have to do something that matters. So it's a reflection back that the struggle is not over and that we still have more work to do.
I think the coin phrase Black Lives Matters is to remind those outside of the population who wears the burden and the crown of black skin. We're telling them Black Lives Matter. But I think internally, the norm, the phrase is Black living matters. We want more than just lives. We want to be living, and we want proof of living, and we want to achieve living, and we want to mature, and we want to achieve. And a life is respectable, but living is far greater a task than just being alive. Alive is that space of just laying waiting, not sure what you want to do, not sure what you want to be. You can be conditioned and programmed while being alive. Because Black Lives Matter would also mean that when we know economically, right, we know that through capitalism, Black lives surely matters. They actually know how much Black lives matter. They can measure how much Black lives matter at the dollar. They know our spending power. They know what to market to us. So I think, while it's okay to say Black Lives Matter, I want us internally, as a body of people, to start thinking about Black living matters. And what are the measures? And what is the evidence of being alive? What does that look like? How do you transform? How do you live? How do you become? It's okay, Black Lives Matters, but internally, we know we have a stronger battle.
Real quick, I think a bigger question is why didn't Black Lives Matter in 2014 and behind us? And why is that? Why Black Lives Matter in 2015?
A black person is killed by a person of authority, i.e. a police officer or a security guard, or maybe even a vigilante every 24 or so hours, basically every day. So we obviously know we have this dilemma outside of our own power structure, so to speak. Meaning it's those in authority, so to speak. How do you guys feel about the police and their interactions with black men and vice versa as well? Because I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of African American black people and brown, who feel that someone like Michael Brown caused his own death, or even Trayvon Martin caused his own death by wearing a hoodie. So now they have folks that say you can't wear a hoodie. Or you can't even be disobedient or else you'll die. So tell me what you guys think about the state of black men and black people, because it's not just black men, it is black women. But let's just keep it in context of raising kings and police.
Immediately, two things come to mind when you say that. When we understand the origins and the roles of the Ku Klux Klan, okay, then we will understand why we're still facing racism in the criminal justice system. The Ku Klux Klan was and still is a political organization. It was not some random lynchings, just for lack of better words, rednecks in the woods catching brothers and hanging them. No, it was a political organization that participated in political assassinations. Their lynchings, the church burnings, were always influential people who were trying to empower our own. So when the Ku Klux Klan kind of got exposed and you had things like the COINTELPRO from FBI investigating them, they just absorbed themselves into law enforcement, into criminal justice, into the correctional officers, into the probation officers. So that's part of what we're facing, and the evidence is out there. It's not something that I'm making up. There's clips, constant news clips of police officers being caught with their hobbies are being grand dragons and members of the KKK. And then they go and they become correctional officers. And I'll say to the people who believe that we're provoking the police, was Martin Luther King wearing a hoodie when he was assassinated? Was Martin Luther King a savage? Was he a drug dealer? No. So we can believe that they're killing us because of the way we're acting. There was a black female teacher who was assaulted on the side of a highway by police. So we gotta get out of this thing that it's us. There's nothing that we can do to stop white supremacy from hating us anyway. So one thing we have to do is focus on ourselves and empowering ourselves. So I'll just say that. The KKK, always remember, was a political organization.
It's really a dynamic in which talking about the KKK, the affiliation, right? And how they absorb themselves into law enforcement, how they absorb themselves into the governing criminal justice, the governing body. The danger that we must be aware of is that you cannot protect or serve anything that you're afraid of. If the mantra is to protect and serve, you cannot do that. You cannot do that from an honest place in your heart. Earlier today, Seth in one of the workshops gave an example. If you come from any of the hoods, you know about neighborhood dogs, right? And you grew up with neighborhood dogs. And if that dog was out, you wasn't out. And if that dog was on this side of the street, you crossed the street. So let's just frame this really quickly. Let's say that your spouse or someone else has a dog that you don't get along with. I remember my wife now, when we were courting, asked me to go to the house and feed their family dog. Now me and this dog weren't friends. So to the best of my ability, I got the food, I went in the backyard, and I just set it out there. There was no service in my heart. I was serving her as a civil task, but I did not really understand that dog. We didn't have a relationship. And anything that dog does to threaten me, I will claim self-defense. If it does what dogs do, bark. If it comes to play with me in its nature, if it wants to jump on me and receive affection, but I am afraid, I am not qualified to render protection or service to that dog. And if any deviation from what I call normative behavior, that dog is going to get sat down. Unfortunately, the qualifications of what we call sat down vary. It's police brutality, it's beating on the side of the road, but we know the permanent damage is death. And this trend of fear that they perpetrate, that we're so uncivil, this trend of fear populates and it spreads. And they become afraid in every section of the United States. And that's why I call this one of the most cold-hearted summers. Despite the triple-digit heat waves, this was a cold-hearted summer because they were afraid in every region. And they were afraid of what they thought would be just retaliation. So if I even looked like I wasn't in the mood to be harassed by you, you would presuppose that I have come to do harm to you because you knew what wrong you have done as an organization. Now, I will not paint with a wide brush and say they're all wrong. I'll say those that don't stand up in the face of injustice are wrong too. I believe that any police officer who watches police brutality be administered should be guilty of whatever crime. But, that's a policy issue. But they can't protect and serve something they're afraid of. Historically, physically, any of the attributes of me that make you afraid, you can't protect or serve them. You only do it to the bare minimum, the bone job description. But you will never in your heart wish to serve me as a human being.
The brother hit it on the head as far as the fear, and just to add to that, there's a common phrase, we fear what we can't understand. And we kind of get that that's a big thing with our culture. As diverse as it is, because I can sit here and say our culture, and in this room we have Jamaicans, we have Haitians, we have African Americans, we have Africans from the continent. So that's diverse within itself. But to add to the new level of fear, which has existed in this country for, since we were so-called free, is, like you said, the fear of revenge and what is called white guilt. That's a very big issue that we're plagued with now is that, when I was at the University of Phoenix and I was taking American history and they went over the history of African Americans, they went over the history of Mexican Americans. They know what they've done to us as a people. And they know we have justified cause to retaliate. They know that. So that is still a ever-present fear that America has of black people and even Hispanics, especially Mexicans in particular, because they know the wrongs that they've done. And if we ever organized and woke up to that, we would have right cause to declare war. I mean, have to declare war, not just ask for permission for something, but actually declare war, or even go to other nations amongst on the earth and ask for their help and assistance against Europe and America. So the white guilt. I told myself I was going to be good when I came up here, But that's real. That is real, and that's what we deal with today. Even our children being taught by these teachers. I mean, they're already counting you out. All they see on television is colors, Boys in the Hood, Juice, Bobby Shmurda, Lil Wayne, and then you come to them. They have no experiences outside of college and television of dealing with black people. So they've automatically already counted these kids out. They may take one and think one can make it. But for the majority, they say, oh man, his dad's not there, he's on his way to jail. So I go on and on, but that fear that we're dealing with is very real.
So let's talk about this conversation, since you mentioned Bobby Shmurda. I wrote an article last year about Bobby Shmurda. And the title is called Who Failed Bobby Shmurda, right? Because he's a young black male, has a hit record, widely successful. Even Beyonce is doing his dance. And yet, a few short months later, he gets caught up, arrested, and is still in Rikers Island right now as we speak. The response to that article was, it was wide-ranging, right? But a large amount of the feedback that I got was, he's not our kid, he's an it. You know, there was just slamming. And I want us to talk a little bit about accountability as black men, because he did have mentors, pseudo-mentors, I would say maybe not real true mentors, but he had older G's in his life that apparently didn't properly educate him. But I want to talk a little bit about this responsibility that we have to ourselves and what are the problems that we face as men and, you know, more importantly, as young men.
Well, as far as Bobby Shmurda is concerned, I agree. And for people to say he's not our child, who put this together? One village. And we've lost that concept. I grew up, when I first came here from Panama, I was on 26th Hill. And I could be disciplined by anybody on that block. We all grew up that way. We all grew up where our elders could discipline us. Now with the generational gap in younger parents, you better not say something to somebody else's child. They'll be coming to cut you. I mean, we're dealing with a situation now, and if there's any teachers here, you know, you discipline a child, and that the parent will come and curse you out at the school. So there's a lot that needs to be addressed, but again, for people to say he's not our child, when I speak, I always say us and our, because we're one. And to not take responsibility for Bobby Shmurda as a people, as elders, or as you say, as OGs, you know, that's a fair that we've done. And there is no more G code to say something like, this generation doesn't pour out a little liquor for their homies that pass. You know what I mean? There is no G code, and the morals of even criminals today are just, but a lot of it has to do with the drug game. So I'll say this, I'll pass the mic. I was saying this to Chandra after I seen the Universal African Dance and Drum Ensemble. Everybody that was here and seen that, think about their faces while they performed. They were all smiling, all of them. Think about when a rapper performs. He's not smiling, is he? He's mean mugging, he's making gun points and stuff like that. He's throwing up gang signs. We've been in a state of emergency for the longest. I mean, I can say we can qualify from the 80s when the crack epidemic started. We made a culture out of the state of emergency. We made a culture out of a death style. This is not a lifestyle. This is a death style. We support death. We don't support positivity. We don't. And I'm saying, everybody here obviously does, but too many of our people do not. And a lot of that, I'm going to pass it back after I make this point, but we've got to recognize we can't blame Bobby Shmurda. We can't blame Lil Wayne, because what we're seeing is being promoted by billion-dollar corporations. Everything we hear and see is owned. There's only 6 companies that own all the radio stations, all the magazines, all the networks. So what we're seeing is being forced down our throat. There are positive artists all over the place that's being, they will not be on BT, they will not be on MTV. So you guys seek for the positivity, and I don't watch television personally. If anybody follows me on Instagram, I don't watch television. I'm totally against Hollywood from what I know, not from what I believe. You know what I'm saying? But I just say that, we can't blame Bobby Shmurda without blaming the generation that failed him.
Oh, shit. All I can say is, man, we've all been Bobby Shmurda. I look at the face in the crowd. I know Eddie from before, so we all been Bobby Shmurda. We've all been in the trap, stuck in the trap to some degree, to some point. And again, just like you said, a lot of young bloods don't have OGs anymore. They don't have somebody to say, yo, chill. You know what I mean? When you wilding out or something, you about to grab a pistol and go to the street, they don't have somebody to say, no, that's not you, that's not what you're supposed to do. They don't have that. So part of the blame is on us. We have to look in the mirror and acknowledge that we played a hand in all the new Bobby Shmurda. And I don't want to completely criminalize Bobby Shmurda because he's a product of his environment. He's a product of what created, But we perpetuated by letting our children listen to it. We perpetuated by letting them sit in front of the television and watch the videos on it. We perpetuated when we say do the Bobby Shmurda dance. You know what I mean? Because what we're doing is pushing that agenda that we didn't create. And it's not even our music anymore. Before there was a time when you had a Bobby Shmurda, you had somebody like Bobby Shmurda, let's say NWA, but then you had a Public Enemy, but now it's become a one-trick pony, which all we know is Bobby Shmurda. And that's why we have, and you can't even blame the music, but it plays a part in what we're going through right now, the state of emergency. We got, 4 killings in the last, I think 3 or 4 killings in the last 4 or 5 days. You know what I mean? It's literally a state of emergency.
When I listen to hardcore rap music, or like a Bobby Shmurda, or you listen to he's just expressing himself to me. But it's the pain that's in his music. He's putting it all on the line. Like he's letting you know, he's giving you an insight of his life, good or bad. He's a young man, just like I'm a young man. We just have different paths. You can't look at nobody sideways when people get rich and they make it and they don't give back. You leaving these kids behind to become these people. That is just years and years and years of just hurt. You can hear it in his music. The anger that he has in his music, the pain that he has in his music is artistic. But it just shows, it's a revelation of what he's been through. I feel like that's what it is. Did we fail Bobby Shmurda? We didn't fail Bobby Shmurda. We failed all the Bobby Shmurdas that we have out there. We have so many Bobby Shmurdas. I've been friends with so many people that think like him, and they don't have nothing. Their mom's on drugs, their dad's not there. You know how hard that is? I don't know if anybody has been through that, but you know how hard that is? I have friends that cry to me, telling me they don't know what to believe in. You know what I mean? Like, that's a hard feeling. Don't ever look at nobody like they're a bad person because you don't know what they've been through. You know what I mean? Like, people want to say, oh, Bobby Shmurda doing this and he shouldn't have did that, and he's in jail because he escaped, but he couldn't always escape. He had some things still lingering in his past. And it's because he was trying to hold his homeboys down, and they wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. But he felt entitled because they was with him before all that happened. It's a hard step to take, but you have to look yourself in the mirror. You got to look at yourself and say, look, this is what I'm going to be. I'm going to get here, and nobody's going to stop me from getting here. My friends is my friends, and my friends will be my friends another day. You know what I mean? You got to take that, sacrifice that step, because at the end of the day, it's you. And we can talk all day about what happened and how it happened. We really need to do is look ourselves in the mirror. We need to take our time and be the best you can be. Don't worry about everybody else. A whole bunch of hating going on. You're worrying about what they're doing over here. Be the best you that you can be. And if you be the best, and if everybody here be the best you that you can be, everybody be great in here. But you always worrying about who's doing what you doing over here and what you doing over there. And see why she wearing that and why he dressed like that. Just be yourself.
I've been selling crack since like the 5th grade. You feel Bobby Shmurda? No, plenty of people feel Bobby Shmurda. But the issue could be no one had conviction or courage to call out his OGs. So we have to look at like what then qualifies the measure of OG. Today, because homicide rates are so high, an OG is simply making it. You don't have to have any sense. You just have to reach an age. But we know that chronology does not define like wisdom. So you could be an old dummy, right? You can actually survive and linger, which is why it's more than Black life matters, Black living matters. But let's unpack this. So I was kind of late to the Bobby Shmurda phenomenon. My brother was shot and killed June 13th. This year. Yeah, this past year. I missed the whole summer trend. You know what I mean? I was in between deciding, was I going to abandon my kente cloth, abandon Peace King as my mantra, and was I going to avenge the murder of my brother? Let's just unpack it. I'm a married man. I hold degrees. I'm a dean at a school. I talk to the young people all the time about peace. But it's different when that pain is upon your shoulders. Now, the element of what we call like hardcore rap, the reason why we have to have him on this panel, Young G, I appreciate that. You see the way he unwrapped the mystification of Bobby Shmurda and made him a person. And so there's a person, Bobby Shmurda, but there's also the machine, Bobby Shmurda. And there's also the machine that perpetuates the raising up, not of kings, but of more Bobby Shmurdas. And those who are perpetuating the raising up of Bobby Shmurdas have a longer budget than us. They have a longer reach than us. Do you have the courage and the conviction to go inside the hood, make it a neighborhood, by adding love, or calling out those who perpetuate the trend of pushing dope? Like, you can't, it's not about the safety of your address, and it's not about the safety of your zip code. Because when a have-not does not have, they'll come to the zip code of the haves. And they rob in the haves, and they break and enter in the haves. So you don't have the luxury to get your degree and have it become a degree of separation and say those are the problems. That's our people. Now I understand he is the absolute human, but I will attack with vigor any system that wants to perpetuate the creation of more Bobby Shmurdas and not of his whole government, whoever he is. You understand? That's what I'm about. Because, and from a music tip too, I since resurfaced. I mean, I was always writing, but there's a certain element of borrowed time that I'm aware of. It's my firm belief that the gunman who killed my brother in pursuit of a dollar would have ever heard any songs I made. It could have sold it from at least that moment. Having hope on to find hope, and then raising kings and other establishments could have fed that hope, could have fed that ambition. We got several potential gunmen here, stick up kids in here. You understand me? That's what happens when deprivation breeds desperation. It gets that real. Those are still our people. But I will not tolerate the perpetuation of that machine. So through music, through education in the schools every day, through Saturday mentorships, I bring my young people with me. I fight that system. And that's the most hardcore gangster thing you could do.